Hello, hi everyone. I'm Dr. Visweswaraiah S, Assistant Professor of English, working in Government First Grade College Kunigal, which is affiliated to Tumkur University. So here in this video, in this session, I would like to draw your attention on the Restoration period, or we call it as the age of Dryden as well. Okay, so let us have some brief introduction about my topic. So we call it as age of Dryden or the Restoration. It's a very important in the history of English literature, and also we consider that this was dated from 1660 to 1700. This era or this period is called the age of Dryden or the Restoration. This era was considered very important because so lot of political or social changes were taken place during this period. Okay, so and we can say that many contribution or the literature or the poets, writers and dramatists, they gave and the writings about the social life and what was happening in the period or during that period in England, so was completely shown in this period. Okay, and we can say that many writers have chosen the topic of political and social life for them, and so we see that 1660 in England the Restoration took place with the monarchy of Charles II, who was restored the monarchy system again in England. So then this particular period began. Okay, so 1660 was remarkable date in the history of English literature for to remember about the Restoration. Okay, so before that, as I already told you in the previous videos, so Oliver Cromwell, who was the Puritan king, ruled before Charles II. So during Cromwell's ruling, a lot of restrictions were laid on theater and banned the theaters and even the shows, and there was completely kind of they thought that it was against the rules and conventions of Puritans, because it was as a Puritan leader he made such obligations there. So when Charles II restored the monarchy system, so opened the theaters and started to act or started to show or encash the talents of the characters on the stage, and it was kind of a recreation for the people of England, and welcomed very welcomed with a very enthusiastically. Okay, we can say like that. Yeah, so to move with more to know about this Restoration or the age of Dryden, let us have some slides on this screen, so that you can able to just recollect many things, and also you can correlate your ideas to this. Okay, please. Yeah, so look at on the screen, just you can just see that the topic, the introduction about this topic. Restoration literature is written during the historical period commonly referred to as the English Restoration. That is 1660 to 1689. Okay, and the term is used to denote roughly homogeneous style of literature that center on the celebration of or reaction to the restored court of Charles II. Because as I already mentioned that the king Charles II, who restored the monarchy. So roughly we denote that homogeneous style of literature occurred in this age or duration. Okay, so to mention with John Dryden, an influential English poet, literary critic, translator, and playwright, dominated the literary life of Restoration England to such point that the period came also to be known as, or known in the history circles, the Age of Dryden. Because John Dryden's contribution in all the fields, like not only in poetry, as a translator, playwright, a critic, dominated this literary life of Restoration. So the Restoration period is also known as the Age of Dryden. Okay, then sorry. So okay, we'll see that the poetry in the Restoration age. Okay, so poetry was the most satirical and realistic and written in heroic couplets in this Restoration, of which Dryden was the supreme master of having all these techniques of writing. Okay, and he was a dominating figure of the Restoration age, and he wrote poetries, prose, and also dramas. For this reason, Restoration age is called the Age of Dryden. And the Restoration poetry, what I was focusing on, or that is considered moderate in the way of it emphasizes precision or economical use of language and words. So this was very important to note here. Okay, so like that, the poetry plays a very important role in the Restoration age. So writers focused on creating a vivid, realistic representations of corruption they saw in their society. It was actually, or we can say that writers were just looking at the society and getting the subject to their poetry and the use of their style and making it. Okay, so writers focused more on creating a realistic representation of society. Okay, and one of the Restoration poetry characteristic is the reason. Okay, very important, logic or and reason. So instead of focusing on metaphysical ideas, so the writers or the poets in this age, which most of the prior poetries had relied upon, so it was inspired by many scientific developments of the time. So until that period, means before the writers were having some ideas and also thoughts and about metaphysical ideas and correlating the ideas, and they were writing. But the poets in this Restoration period, so they relayed or we can say that they were written, got inspiration by many scientific developments of the time. So the reason was the main characteristics of the poetry in this Restoration. So these scientific developments encouraged the people to use reason to solve the problems. Okay, thinking very practically. Okay, that was that is very important here to just know about the poetries, how they played very important role in particular that period. Okay, and yeah, so to look at here in this slide, features of the age. Okay, we say that major features of this age. There are three major features of this age. That is, first one is moderation, realism, and reason. So these three made Restoration poetry style, also known as the classical school of poetry, dominate English literature for more than a century. So look at that, how moderation, realism, and reason. So it was completely the style of the classical school. It was continued to the more than a century in this Restoration period. Okay, the Restoration age is essentially the age of satire. Very important here. Satirical notes or satire was one of the another important feature of this age, because the great influences of the time made the Restoration age or the age of satire. We can call it this as age of satire, because judging and criticizing became common in the society of the age, and this habit naturally gave birth to the spirit of satire. Look at that, how criticizing became a common in the society, so that many poetries have come up with this background, using of a spirit of satire, mean to just show them or to judge them with using such a technique. Okay, that is, satire is one of the features of this age. Okay, and so the open denial of false spiritual authorities became a duty and pleasure of Restoration poets. False spiritual authorities, like and mock epic is that type of art which imitates in a sustained way both the elaborate form and the ceremonious style of the epic poem, but applies it to narrate an ignoble subject matter. So we just see that how mock epic was also very important here, and one of the features of this age. Okay, and yeah, so to this very important for you who are studying in UG level BA, you for second semesters, you can just mention, or you can just focus on how the mock epic of Alexander Pope's The Rape of Lock. Here Belinda's Toilet is also very important to understand the poetry, which is the best of all mock epic or mock heroic poems. Okay, so Alexander Pope is also plays very important role to contribution to this age. Yeah, then okay, Restoration poets. As I told you that age of Dryden. So Dryden is the main key important or key figure in this age. John Dryden, dominating figure of this age, and Dryden poetry can be divided into three heads, like political satires, doctrinal poems, and the fables were very important. Okay, the poetry of Dryden possesses of all the characteristics of Restoration age. His famous works are Abbasolum and Religio Lacey. Okay, so this is very important to know that Macflecknoe, which was written in 1682, was a famous again, and Marriage a la Mode 1673 was a famous writing. And to know more about Dryden, so I have another sessions to focus on. Okay, one of the another important poet of this age, John Milton. John Milton was a bit of an oddball during the Restoration because he stuck to his Puritanism and republicanism at the time when politics and society were turning away from both. His famous works are, that Paradise Lost, which was written in 1667, and is a poem on an epic scale. And one more important writing, Samson Agnostes, that was written in 1671, is a short tragedy based on the story of Samson in the Old Testament. Okay, like that. Now we just see that the prose in the Restoration age. Okay, so far we saw that how poetry played a very important role in the text. Here in this slide, we just see that prose in the Restoration age. Okay, prose in the Restoration period is dominated by Christian religious writings, and Restoration saw the publication of number of significant pieces of political and philosophical writing that had been spurred by the actions of the period. And to remember with Thomas Sprat wrote his history of the Royal Society in 1667. Here he focused on the goals of empirical science. So, okay, that is very important to know the prose of Thomas Sprat. And one more writer of this prose, William Temple, wrote several rustic prose works in praise of retirement and contemplation and direct observation of nature. Okay, so we just see like that. Okay, when it comes to fiction or novel in Restoration, very important again. Look at that, long fiction and fictional biographies began to distinguish themselves from other form of England during the Restoration period. Okay, and one of the most significant figures in the rise of the novel in Restoration age period is Opera Ban. Opera Ban Orinoco was a famous writing, and she was the first professional novelist in English. Very important. She was the first professional novelist in English. Okay, Opera Ban's first novel was Love Letters Between a Nobleman and His Sisters in 1684. Was a very famous. And Opera Ban also wrote several histories of fictional figures, such as the history of Nun. Okay. However, her famous novel, as I already told you, that was Orinoco. It was published in 1688. This was a fictional biography, actually. Orinoco, published as a true history of an African king who had been enslaved in Suriname, a colony Ben herself had visited there. It's a very a famous novel. Okay, to look at with drama or the plays in the Restoration age, very important here, because Restoration theatre came up and Charles II, who came to the power, immediately he did was to open the theaters, to give or because to know Charles II, influenced by Molière in the France, and he had a taste of watching dramas and theater. So, okay, let us look at on this in this slide. Okay, the drama or drama in the Restoration Age. The return of this stage, return of the stage or the Restoration struck Charles II to power in 1660 was a major event in English theatre history. As soon as the previous Puritan regime's ban on public stage representations was lifted again, the drama recreated itself quickly and abundantly, because the people were eagerly waiting to go for this kind of recreation here. Okay, so the two theatre companies, the King's and the Duke's Company, were established in London, and with the two luxurious playhouses fitted with movable scenery and thunder and lightning machines, and so creating that all the sounds on the stage, everything has come up, and even costumes and even just everything made it. Okay, the famous playwright of the Restoration, William Congreve, a superb important playwright of the Restoration period, a discipline of like John Dryden's. Okay, he is known for his comedies. Look at that, which created the taste of the time. Okay, the people very much interested to watch such comedies on the stage. Okay, his famous works are Love for Love, which was written on in 1695, is a comedy about love and money. The Way of the World, a famous play which was written in 1700. Another comedy whose plot revolves around all sort of romantic entanglements, very beautiful drama to read. Okay, then we just see that. Thank you for this, and yeah, okay, now dear viewers, so far it was a try to it was an attempt to just to give or to give more a brief note on or brief history of the Restoration. Okay, so you can just see that how in the neoclassical period, this Restoration period is a very starting period and also very remarkable period. Okay, so to go with this, or if you want more on or if you want to learn more on this, kindly read more and get information about the Restoration. Okay, so I thank you so much for viewing this and listening to this presentation, and thank you one and all, and please subscribe to my channel.